PMG Radio. Respect your jaw.
All right, man. Let's get into a couple other things, man. Real talk. All right. Migos, they performed with Katy Perry, right? There was a rumor going around talking about they didn't want to perform with some I think they said drag queens. Right?
On SNL or something.
And then there was a big thing talking about on SNL, right? There was a big thing talking about they were homophobic. All right. Does not wanting to perform with drag queens make you homophobic?
Yep.
It does?
No. I won't say okay.
Yes,
I can't say that. Let's put it this way. It makes you want to appear homophobic because at the end of the day, if you don't want to perform with drag queens, you're worried about your image. You're worried that people are gonna think.
All right, we need to be clear on what homophobia is.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Homophobia is a disdain, a dislike, and sort of a hatred for anybody or anything that is homosexual. Now, me personally, I am far from homophobic. Does not mean I want to be in a gay club.
This is it.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry. I just have no reason to be in a gay club.
So at work back in London, my boss, he is a drag queen. As in, he has a persona. I'll show you some pictures. He has a persona. He comes to work as a man. He does all of this drag bingo. He hosts all of these drag shows and so on and so forth. I am not homophobic in the slightest.
Right.
But I am not trying to be at any of those clubs. I do not want to see you dressing up as a female. I do not want to see you kissing another man. It doesn't make me homophobic because at the end, each to their own.
Exactly.
But
To each their own. That's
I mean, what did I say?
Yeah, you switched it around.
You knew what I meant.
Don't worry about that clip. Y'all know this the part of the show. We would start slurring our words and shit. Don't worry about it.
You know what I mean? But just because I don't personally want to see it, I'm all down for when him and his husband's getting married. Good for you guys. High five.
Okay.
I'm glad you guys have got your rights. I just don't want to be a part of it. It doesn't make me homophobic.
Okay, and that's wonderful. When there is a bag involved, when you're getting paid for it, to me, there's a difference. Like, if it's just leisure, there's a lot of people who don't necessarily want to be in that environment. But if you're being offered money to do it and you still turn it down, to me, you're making a statement. You're basically saying, I don't want my audience to see me doing this, or I don't want my audience to think I'm associated with this. So what is the problem?
They're protecting their brand then at that point, right?
You're protecting your brand, and I get that. But at the end of the day, like, where are you trying to go musically? Because at the end of the day, to me, like, Migos are really, for a long time, there hasn't necessarily been a rap group that's blown up that big over the last couple of years, and they're starting to become crossover to me. So it's like, how far do you want to go? Because the gay community, they spend money.
They
Like,
will be your best fan.
maybe that's them saying.
They will buy your T-shirts, your
Yeah,
pencils.
but maybe that's what I'm saying. That's as far. Maybe that's what I'm saying. That's as far as we're going. Then maybe that's like, okay, that's it. Like, we're good. Like, we're good at this level of fame. Like, we don't need that. We don't need to alienate ourselves or what we stand for that check. You know what I'm saying?
Go.
Like,
there we go.
I get it.
That's why I think they
See, that's my whole point though. You said, what we stand for. So what do you stand for?
No, listen, let's be clear. This is one thing I hate about the gay community. Me not agreeing with homosexuality doesn't mean I'm just anti-gay. It's two different things. Right. Yeah. I get it. Truthfully, I don't give a flying fuck what you do in your bedroom.
Right.
I just don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be privy to it. I don't want to be a part of it. Right. I don't even want to know.
So that's my whole. So my question is, okay, so what is it about you performing amongst drag queens who are spending the same money that everybody else is spending? Like, what is it about that particular scenario that turns you off?
Because now Migos' fans who may potentially be homophobic may now then say, okay, hold on, if this is what you represent, I don't want a part of it no more. Then they stop buying records, they stop supporting, and fair enough, the gay community might, spend a certain amount, but you need everybody on your team. So
I get
it
that
becomes.
Yeah, I get
that. We got at the end of the day, right? I feel like this, man. The word homophobic is thrown around way too loosely nowadays. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there is a specific area of people in the world that are homophobic. I'm not going to act like it doesn't exist. But just because I don't want to go to the gay parade does not make me homophobic.
No, I get that.
Just because I don't want to go to a gay club, but just because I don't want to sit around a bunch of gay dudes talking about homosexual things does not make me homophobic.
So what was their reasoning though? Because once again, to me, it becomes a little bit different when it's business.
No, like
so
Jay said, it just goes against certain people have certain beliefs. Me believing that homosexuality is wrong does not make me homophobic. I'm sorry.
I 100% agree with that.
So I think
with
that
that.
it just goes back to what JC said. It just goes against what they believe. Like they're not going to sit on as a bunch of
So
young.
is that what they said? Like
I don't know.
What did they say?
No,
Like,
they did the right. They did the right thing and didn't say nothing. To be honest with you, they did it.
To be honest, they don't owe anyone an explanation. Like that's their brand. That's them. Like they don't
Right.
have to tell you why I don't want to do something as an art. Like no, I'm the artist. I'm not good with that. And that's it.
Right.
Be
So
done
I
with
mean,
it.
it depends on
Right.
who. It depends on where you're looking from. Because looking from this side, we could say that, but then to the homophobic, to the drag queens and to people who are gay, they're gonna take that as an insult. Like, why are we not good enough? I mean, we still appreciate your music. We're still willing to invest into your brand. So they could be offended.
That's a valid
They
point.
could
Yeah,
be
valid
offended,
point.
like, damn, like just because we choose this lifestyle. You don't want our support, or you don't want our money. You don't want to. So I mean,
Right.
They'll take your money. They just don't want to be on stage. You can spend
Never
money
stopped
you want.
anybody else. Like,
and truthfully, like we're not going to sit here and act like homophobia isn't a real thing in hip hop.
no, absolutely.
We know it is, but don't just say, yo, just because these young urban kids from Atlanta didn't want a bunch of dudes with dicks and wigs and makeup dancing around them are homophobic.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure where they come from, they would rather a bunch of big booty joints on stripper
Right.
poles dancing around
Yeah.
them than a bunch of
So-
dudes with wigs and makeup on. You know what I mean?
So,
Like,
so once again, it's like, even if you say they didn't give a reason, actions speak louder than words to an extent. So I'm always going to play devil's advocate. Do you know what I mean? To me, it's like if you didn't,
jeez, that's one ugly
if you, oh my gosh, damn.
So she's not a broad.
But if you choose not to associate with somebody because of their gender, or because of their race, or because of the way they choose to live their life.
No,
Is that
race
on
is
his free
different.
time?
We're not
Okay.
going to go there.
All right.
I was with you up until race.
Okay, all right. Go back
Race
to
is totally
okay,
different.
all right.
Go ahead, all right,
So
go ahead, go
the whole
ahead.
point is, at the end of the day, it's different. It's not like you said, "Oh, I don't want to perform with you because I don't like the venue. I don't want to perform with you because I don't like the crowd." Like, well, yeah, actually, it is the crowd. But the point is, it kind of can be seen as a little bit of discrimination. We were talking about discrimination last week. Like, you guys are talking about, oh, that doesn't make you homophobic, but the fact that there's something in your belief system that won't allow you to get that bag from people who live a certain lifestyle, to me, means that I'm not calling it discrimination, but I don't want to be associated with you. I don't want to be associated with you. And that, to me, it doesn't necessarily, even if it's not, because look, we can talk about homophobia on different levels. Is it what I personally believe? Is it what my fans believe? Is it that I don't want to? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Either way, to me, it's homophobia on a certain level. It might not necessarily be what you believe, but I don't want my fans to see me that way, or I don't want to be judged that way. It's still homophobia expressing itself on one level or another. That's the way I see it.
All right, go ahead, Victoria.
So if it was, let's say, two girls kissing on the stage behind Migos performing, that might not necessarily pose a problem. But
No.
because it's the two guys, this is when we look at the different levels of homophobia.
I mean, well, we know the double standard is real.
No, so these are the different levels of homophobia
Right,
because,
right.
like, me personally, I've got no problem with two females kissing.
Right.
But when I see two guys kissing, it makes me feel some type of way. So maybe, to a certain degree, maybe I might be a little bit homophobic, but I'm not. I don't like to see myself as that because, as I said, to each their own. So,
But it doesn't mean that you're against what somebody does in their personal time in their bedroom, right?
no, of course not. Do what
You
you
probably don't even give a fuck.
I don't give.
Exactly. And that's the point I'm making. We have to understand there's a thin line between just you not wanting to be privy to something and you having a certain hatred towards
Yeah,
it.
no, definitely.
You know what I mean? Homophobia just means you have a certain fear or hatred towards what someone does in their personal life. Not wanting to be around it is something else. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't care that people want to sleep with their dogs. I really don't give a fuck about it. No, I honestly
Which
do
they
not.
really do.
Which it happens in this country. But I don't give a fuck. I just don't want to go to the dog and couple parade. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be around that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I mean I can understand that. I can respect that.
so I felt like
I definitely. But the whole point is that you obviously you have. There's something about that either makes you uncomfortable. Like, let's talk about the dog and the dog and the whatever, the human being. Like, you wouldn't want to be around that because you don't agree with it. Because you don't agree. There's something you don't agree with about it. There's something about it that makes you uncomfortable. So that's my whole point. It's like, even with the drag queen thing, when I say, I'm not saying you're homophobic in the sense that you care what they're doing behind their closed doors, but anything you're doing in public, I don't want to be associated with and I don't want to be a part of. That does show homophobia on a little, even on a little scale. That is displays one aspect of homophobia. If you're trying to protect your brand, what are you trying to protect your brand from?
Jay-Z. You see, JC has this thing where he just leaves, like, certain topics. That nigga just leaves me like out there.
I thought you were gonna chime back in. So
that nigga just leaves me hanging like on certain topics.
No, but like I look at it this way, like you said, if they had two chicks kissing or whatever, they probably would be okay with it. So that's a level of homophobia they're okay with. Mm-hmm. First of all, we're assuming that just because they're doing drag that they're gay, which is not even like
right.
That's a whole nother thing, right? But like my whole thing is that
it is a fair assumption, though.
No, it's a fair assumption, but it is an assumption. It's an assumption, though. We don't know. Like we don't. Like
I know.
Oh, your boss is.
He's gay.
Oh, I stand corrected. So, no, but I'm just saying, like, as an individual, like, we have a right to say what we want to be a part of. Like, we don't have to be guilted into accepting something that we don't necessarily agree with.
You don't.
But that's why I feel like they're trying to do that to them.
Before we even go further, would being in a gay club make you uncomfortable? Be honest.
No, I've been in a gay club before.
Me too, by mistake.
Yeah, by mistake too. That's what I'm saying.
Me too.
It was downtown Brooklyn.
No, seriously, like I ended up in a gay club by mistake one time. But go ahead.
Yeah, so it's just like, but I know what I'm about. Like I know like what I stand for. Like I don't mind.
Right. But, and I said the same thing to myself. I was like, listen, I know I ain't no homo. But after about an hour,
you still
I said to
like,
myself, but you know what? I really ain't got no place being in here.
Right.
But can I ask you something? I don't know. You guys are gonna say it's not the same thing, but let me ask you something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if there was, for instance, a situation where a white artist, and I'm bringing it to race just to make a point. Mm-hmm. If there was a white artist that didn't want to perform because there was going to be black people there. Mm-hmm. But they said no, I'm not. It's not that I'm racist, but I just don't want to perform. And they're not necessarily giving a comment on why. No. I know why you're gonna say it's different, but what I'm trying to say is, like, for instance, you said Migos didn't say why. They just didn't want to do it. But we would assume that, oh, you don't want to perform where there's black people or there's black people performing with you. Oh, so you must be racist. That's what we're going to assume. So in the same way, of course, people are going to assume that they were being homophobic. Unless you can give a valid reason or something that solidifies, or a good excuse as to why you couldn't do it. Oh, we couldn't do it because we were busy, we were double booked, or whatever the case may be. Unless you can give a good reason as to why you don't want to do it.
Nah, but you know what makes it different is the fact that homosexuality doesn't have a race. Yeah. So that's what makes it different. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's no boundaries to that. That could be anybody.
No, but isolate it. You're saying homosexuality doesn't have a race.
Right.
But let's isolate it. Let's just really, really isolate it. If somebody said they didn't want to perform, take the situation.
Are you really, as a black woman, you really comparing racism to homophobia?
Do you know what it is? I'm not, because this is the thing. That's why I told you isolate it. I'm not comparing the two things. But what I'm trying to say is, if it was a completely different scenario, would you still be able to see it the same way?
Honestly, if it's something, like I said, that you don't conform with, not necessarily agree with, or even give a fuck about, but if you don't conform with it, then I can understand the plight and saying, you know what, I don't want to be involved with that.
All right, so you answered my question then.
But I'm not gonna lie, Laz, you kind of stretching it with the racism thing.
I don't think I'm stretching it. I don't think I'm stretching it, because at the end of the day, I feel like whatever reason that they have is valid to them.
It's like fucking atheist having a choir behind them, like you know what I'm saying?
Right,
You're like, yo,
right,
that's
right.
don't align.
Thank
with
you,
what,
thank you,
like,
thank you. Thank you. You just made my point. You just said an atheist having a choir with them, so that's like a homophobic having gay people. I mean, having drag queens behind them. You just said it's like an atheist.
No, I'm saying
you already said what you said. So that's my whole point. It's like an atheist would not have a choir behind them the same way homophobics would not have drag queens behind them.
Homophobics won't have drag queens behind them. Why? No, I'm saying no. You misunderstood.
No, I didn't misunderstand. I feel like you told me what I needed to hear.
Okay. Like, you heard what you wanted to hear, so okay, go ahead. It's fine.
It's the part of the show when I just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like,
I can't clarify my point.
Yeah, I'm gonna just end it by saying, then we're going on to the next joint. I don't believe the Migos were homophobic.
Homophobic.
Fucking click vodka. Homophobic.
Wow.
I don't believe the Migos were homophobic for their stance. I believe they were just against something that they traditionally would not be with. They traditionally would not be seen with a bunch of drag queens dancing behind them.
Right.
That's just how
traditionally based on what? Every tradition is based on a belief. So that's my whole point. It's like you guys are taking the term homophobia and basically giving it one definition. So you're only homophobic if
how many definitions does homophobia have?
But what I'm trying to say, at the end of the day, if you're saying they traditionally don't want to be associated with it, there's a reason why. What is the tradition?
Oh shit!
What's
you
the,
got somebody type. Hold
what's
on,
the tradition?
Hold on. My homegirl, Imani said, "There's no way you could compare homophobia to racism."
All right. I'm not comparing the two. That's why I said you have to be able to isolate it. I'm not comparing the two.
You got to use other examples.
No, I'm not going to use another example just because black people are uncomfortable with making that comparison. Like,
She don't
to
care
me,
that she makes us uncomfortable, yo.
I know it makes black people uncomfortable, but what I'm trying to say is it's like, at the end of the day, it's one person not wanting to associate with another person, whether it's race, whether it's sex, whether it's whatever. It's somebody saying, because you are this or because you are that, I don't want to be seen with you. So you can say, oh, you can't compare it with race, but at the end of the day, you're still saying that you don't want to be associated with somebody based on who they are or who they portray themselves to be.
But then this is where this whole political correctness comes into it, and I think personally it's bullshit. Yeah. If I personally don't want to be around or have certain things flaunted to me, doesn't mean I disagree with it, I just don't like it. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
In terms
honestly, it does.
And I don't want it to be a part of
honestly,
it makes sense.
And I feel like it's a way for a lot of us. Like,
this is it. But because of political correctness, if you don't want to be around this, then this makes you a certain type of person. You're homophobic.
You know what? And I feel like we've been dancing on an elephant in the room. I feel like homosexuals in a lot of places get more leeway to do things than a lot of other things, because the minute somebody says something against them, oh, you're homophobic, oh, you're anti-gay, oh, you're this, you're that. No, like, it's not all of that. It's not that deep.
It's got nothing to do with what
I
you
just
want to do.
don't.
I don't care about what you want to do, but I
yo.
just don't want to see it. Same way you've got all of those like cannibals, like you got so random. I know. Let's throw it out there.
Now someone's gonna send a text. Oh, I don't agree. You can compare cannibals to homophobia, but
cannibalism. You've got some parts of the world in like certain states in Africa where cannibalism is a real thing.
Yeah.
Now, because I don't want to eat a human being and I don't want to see you eat a human being, doesn't mean that any cannibalism. If that's what you want to do,
hey,
do you. If the thigh tastes good to you, if the butt tastes good to you, you eat that, you fry it, you do what you got to do. I just don't want to see it. I don't want to be around it. It doesn't mean I'm anti what you're doing.
And I feel like, honestly, this is the one thing that annoys me about the gay community, is that anytime that anybody just doesn't want to go along with what they want,
automatically you're homophobic.
It's like people protesting and all of that shit. It's not that deep.
Like gay pride, you guys do your thing.
Exactly.
I really wish I could agree with you guys, man.
I just don't personally.
Listen, I understand where you're coming from, Eliza. I get what you're saying.
No,
listen.
I wish I could agree with you. The reason why is because it's like this is the problem, is that people can't see stuff from other people's perspective. A lot of people, we're selfish. Like, we can only see stuff when it's happening to us. That's the only reason why I brought race into it. Because the thing is, as strongly as we feel about some of the discrimination we experience, just because we don't agree with somebody else's lifestyle, they feel just as strongly, and that's the scary part of it, and that's the reason why we're still fighting our fight, is because people are looking from the outside, looking in at us, and they can't see why we're mad.
Race is not a choice. You're born black.
Exactly.
That's it.
All right, so that's
exactly. Ain't no getting around that shit.
Nah, but no. Okay, regardless, whether you say it's a choice or not, the point is, yeah. To me, if you're saying that you, and I'm not even saying there's a problem with it. This is the thing that I haven't said. I'm not saying there's a problem with them not wanting to do it. No, I'm saying if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I never said it was wrong for them to not want to do it. But as I said, if you say that you don't want to do it, you are definitely expressing some form of discrimination.
Okay, so if Michael down the road decided he didn't want to do a show with gay people or drag queens or anything like that, no one wouldn't give two flying. No one doesn't care. It's because Migos are in a spotlight, because they are famous, because they're supposed to be some form of role models, or because they're supposed to portray something or one thing or another. It's a big thing. If you decided to do a show tomorrow and decided that, you don't want to be...
but to me, that's everything. But if Michael down the road gets shot, you won't hear about it. But if Tupac gets shot, the whole world knows about it. So no, it's just the fact that we can see it on a larger scale. It's more exposed. But to me, the principle is still the same.
But there's more people not in the spotlight that are homophobic than people in the spotlight that are.
That's a fact.
But it's just because, obviously, now that I'm in the spotlight, everything I do is amplified.
No, and truthfully, I totally get where Eliza's coming from. Like, I totally get what you're saying. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But I think you're kind of giving too much leeway to the other side of the fence. You understand what I'm saying?
I mean, I can respect you respecting me, and I respect you back.
What the fuck does that mean? Yeah?
No idea what the fuck just happened.
What the fuck does that mean? Yeah. On that note, on to the next topic.
That shit was live.
No. But okay. Let's do our closing arguments. No. At the end of the day, once again, like, I want to make this very, very clear. Everybody has a right to decide. I mean, where they want to perform, who they want to be associated with, and I don't judge anybody for that. So even if they are homophobic, they have their reasons, whatever. But what I will say is, at the end of the day, you not wanting to associate yourself with with a certain group, there's a reason why. So you don't do nothing. There's a reason why. So whatever reasons you guys want to say, because I don't like this and because I don't like that, if you don't like it, then to an extent, you are being homophobic, and I'm sorry, that's the way I see it.
I'm not even trying to sound funny. He could have been fondled when he was younger by a man and doesn't like it. You don't know. He hasn't given a reason.
But then becomes homophobic.
No, it's not homophobic.
Wait.
He hasn't.
Is the drag queens part of Katy Perry's thing?
The drag queens were Katy Perry put together. It was SNL. It was Katy Perry's performance night. She brought out Migos as a special guest.
Right.
So it was a part of her set, and of course Migos were performing with her. And they just declined that part of it. They didn't want that part of it, which is their right. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna act like that's not their right. It's their right.
Yeah. You know so let's just say this: you don't necessarily have to be homophobic to display homophobia, and that's all I'm saying. You don't necessarily have to.
Right.
No. You see what I'm trying to say?
I agree with that.
And that's all I'm saying. You don't need to be homophobic to display homophobia.
I agree with that.
So that's why I was trying to say there's different levels to it. Even if you don't feel that way yourself,
right.
You can still act upon whatever, you know what I mean? And that's all I'm saying.
I got you.
All right. Mm-hmm. We got it, Elijah. All right.
Okay.
Let's make sure she got that last word on that one.
Let that go.
You got that one. You know what I mean?